In 2014, the gospel has been proclaimed. People have worshiped at both the Vine service, the classic service, as well as the communion service. God has been glorified. To God be the glory, and many thanks to all of you for your love and support and gifts and attendance and volunteering. We said farewell to a dear friend, Reverend Cecilia Moore Wilhite. Soon after Seeley retired, we called Kenny Ellis to be our new associate pastor of discipleship and education. We also said farewell to Tim Timmies, who had been with us for 8 years. It's remarkable, in the past 18 years, we've only had 2 youth directors at this church. The tenure of most youth directors is something like 10 months to a year. We then hired Brian Morgan, who had been a middle school teacher at McKeel Academy, to be our new youth director, and Brian is off to a very good start, and we're very pleased with the youth ministry at our church. Now, looking ahead to this new year, we need to take in probably 100 to 120 new members every year. And we've done that in a few of the years I've been here. But in the past 7 or 8 years, we have received 50 to 60 new members a year. If we continue at that trend, and given the fact that we have a number of people who have joined or are joining the Church Triumphant, and others, of course, who move away and transfer, we'll end up in about 5 or 7 years as a 1,200 member congregation, not a 1,500 member congregation. So we need to begin to walk across the room, as we talked about a few years ago, and invite neighbors, family members, friends, colleagues, new people to town, people that you know that don't have a church home. Invite them to worship, invite them to Wednesday evening, invite them to choir, invite them to participate with you. We need to begin to grow this church again. Probably more important is church attendance than membership, to be very honest with you. And our attendance began to grow about a year ago, and it grew very strongly for about 9 months, and then took a dip. I'm pleased that it's back up now after the first of the year, but I encourage you strongly, make worship a priority and be here in worship on Sunday morning. One final thing I'd like to share with you is that the First Presbyterian Church of Lakeland is a traditional, moderately conservative, evangelical, Christ-centered congregation. And we are part of a very progressive denomination. And for some, that's a problem. I'm very proud of the fact that although our General Assembly has made some decisions with which we disagree, that our session has stood firmly on biblical principles. And I have felt no need to pack up and leave the Presbyterian Church USA, but I'm very pleased that our congregation has taken the stand, the session has taken the stands that it has. I'm pleased to be your pastor. I look forward to being back with you next week. I'm on study leave this week in Atlanta, and may God bless this new year as he has our past years together.
Well, there are a couple things that I would like to highlight. First of all, we added Theresa Thomas to our staff, who is the coordinator of children's music ministries, and she's also the administrative assistant in the fine arts area. In addition to that, we have H.L. McConnell as the other full-time person on the staff, and David Hart, our organist. I want to take a little bit of time and talk about David. David had some real health issues over the past few months. Just when it seemed like he was turning the corner to good health, he fell and broke his leg. When he did that, there were certain people here at First Presbyterian Church that filled in so beautifully, and I just want to take this opportunity to publicly thank those people. There are Marcia Jones, who played services here at the organ for a couple of months, Rita Fandrich and Joyce Loudon, who led worship from the piano, and also Hugh Jones. He was one of our Canadian visitors who comes down in the wintertime. he did a remarkable job as well. And so I want to thank them. And I want to thank all the musicians as well, the people who serve in the choirs, who give all of their time on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings so that the worship is vital and vibrant. And for the people who work in the Vine service, I'd also like to particularly be grateful that HL has started to bring some of the youth into the Vine band and rotate them in and use them as drummers and bass players and sometimes singers in the Vine band. So those are some of the things. I also want to mention that we had a great year with the Performing Arts series. We probably had one of the most well-attended Christmas concerts ever, so the Glory of Christmas was a tremendous success. I don't think there have been too many times when we've had more people attending Ringing His Praises in November. Another great success. We were fortunate that we brought in guest artists like Take Six, and my friends John Kirk and Trish Miller were also here to be a part of Strawberry Smash. We look forward to the remaining events in the Performing Arts series as well, and we hope you support them. One of the things I really want to focus on in 2015 is the participation level of all the kids at First Presbyterian Church. We need your kids. We need them to be involved in lots of different ways at First Presbyterian Church. We have music programs that we would like to highlight. We have the choirs for the youngsters, Light Shine for the middle school age kids. And I want to talk just a minute about why that's important. First of all, it's scriptural. It's scriptural that we learn to sing. It's one of the few things that we're admonished to do in worship. We understand that singing is vital to God's people. We also believe that if the kids are coming to work with us, that we teach them to serve God in this place. I just want to take this opportunity to thank First Presbyterian Church for always wanting to have excellence here. Excellence is a hallmark of First Presbyterian Church, and I really hope that that's always what we're known for here, that we invest in doing things absolutely to the glory of God, to the best of our abilities.
Primarily what I do is visitation ministry, and I oversee volunteers and supervise and support the volunteers. We have a very dedicated team of several teams of volunteers. The ones for the hospital go every day of the week to visit our hospitalized members. And some people go to homes, some go to private homes, some go to rehab facilities, and I can't underestimate the impact they make. They may not realize it. I hear all the time how much it strengthens people, and it gives them hope. They're not alone. There's someone standing with them. And then the prayer ministry especially, I hear how much it strengthens people. Even people who sometimes tell me, I never understood the importance of the prayer list and the prayer ministry until I got sick and was in the hospital. And then we have, what's especially exciting this year is that we have a pet therapy couple who go with their adorable little dogs, and they'll go anywhere. They'll go to hospitals. They're certified pet therapists, as is another couple. They'll go to people with hospice. They've done this before. They're very experienced. And that's a very exciting and valuable new addition, new flavor to our pastoral care ministry. When we have communion at the 10:30 classic service, we are now putting 2 communion kits that we take to homebounds on the communion table with all the trays of elements for that service. And that indicates this is what we call an extended service, extended communion, which is fairly new in the Presbyterian Church. And now we have trained elders, and we have a new group of about 15 trained elders who can officiate actually doing the institution of the elements to homebound people. They go everywhere from Mulberry to Duff Road in North Lakeland, and they're very dedicated. It does take 2-3 hours in a Sunday afternoon, and they're here and they do it, and they always come back excited. We had a lot of new ones this time. They were bubbling over when they came back. They said that was so meaningful for me as well as for the people we went to. I think mostly I'm very excited that what we've been doing has been growing, and I anticipate it will continue to grow. A number of visitors, people catching the vision of homebound ministry or homebound communion ministry or pet therapy. It's amazing the variety of things we do, and it's so supportive of the people of the congregation. It makes a real difference. to them, this becomes a church family because of the congregational pastoral care they receive.
And it's just such a joy in seeing our children's journey as they learn more about Jesus Christ. And some of those highlights were, for example, starting in January of each year is when I start working on Vacation Bible School. And this program continues to have God's handprint on it because of all the volunteers and the teachers that step forward every year. But Vacation Bible School at FPC is very popular in the Lakeland area. It was called Weird Animals, but it was basically about how we're all very, very special in God's eyes. No matter who we are, we're all special. It seemed that God had just laid it upon my heart to have the children back in worship. And so we talked about that a lot in our children's ministries team. And so we worked on putting that back into place, maybe starting that in January of 2015. Here we have what we call a third grade Bible program for our third graders. And we had 16 children this year that received their third grade Bible. And that class goes for 4 weeks, and it's facilitated by Kim Bowers, who does just a fabulous job. And so the children learn how to use their Bibles in this 4-week time, and then they get their own personally engraved Bible. Starting January the 18th, we have a new Sunday school class that's called Parents with Young Children. And it's for those parents that have children from cradle to 5th grade. And the hope is that the parents that attend that their children will come to our 9:15 Sunday school class time. Our nursery staff now has a staff of 9 people. And they all completed their CPR classes this past summer. They're all CPR certified now. And this is just a wonderful group of young ladies who take care of our children here at the church. And they are, I just can't say enough good things about them. They're just a great bunch of gals. I just pray that God will fill me with His wisdom to educate our children about His Son, Jesus Christ, about His salvation, and the eternal life we have through Him. And I'm also most thankful for all the volunteers that help us in children's ministries. Thank you.
Good deal.
Transition because I worked with the youth as the interim director over the summer, so I went on the mission trips and the camps, and then also we had a lot going on in the summer with the room changes. We kind of remodeled the youth hall here, which was cool, kind of updated some things, and I think overall it was a really good transition because you had a youth director that was here for 8 years in Tim, and he did a fantastic job, and so I think anytime that you have transition, that is kind of a tricky situation, and I think that so far it's been a good transition. We had a lot of kids go to the Alabama mission trip, and then we also had a bunch of kids go to Fun in the Sun, Great Escape. We saw a couple kids commit their lives to Christ at those camps. And we went to Wetumpka, Alabama, and that was with an organization called Youth Works, and we brought 24 kids, and we did some landscaping at a place called the Adullam House, which was cool because it's for students whose parents are incarcerated. And so we did some landscaping, we did some things with the kids there, just played with them. We also worked in a trailer park community. There was a startup kids program and we were the first ones to be a part of that. And so we had kids in this trailer park community come, and we did VBS with them, we did games. Fun in the Sun is in Hilton Head, and this year we brought 26 kids to that camp, and it's basically a Christian camp where there's worship, there's messages, there's rec time, where kids are split into teams and they compete against one another. I just get a chance to hang out with the kids and get to build relationships. And it's the same thing with the kids themselves, to just bring our group closer together, and then also just meet other Christian kids, around the country that go to that camp. And it's the same thing with Great Escape, and that's in Ocala. And there was 12 kids that went on that camp, and it's basically the same thing. There's a lot of games, a lot of fun activities for them to do, but they're also in worship and listening to some good messages from great speakers. In the beginning of the year, every other week we would bring a group to Lighthouse Ministries and we would feed the homeless there. And that was great just for the kids to get an opportunity to serve here in the community, and then also just to meet some of the people that they're serving, just hang out with them. Yeah, Wednesday night is our Ignite youth group, and so it's basically, if you think of a funnel, it's like the top of the funnel. It's where, hey, we're gonna have some games, we're gonna have food, we're gonna have some cool activities. We're also gonna be doing some singing. There's gonna be a message, and then we break out into small group times. And that's really a time that I encourage kids to bring their friends, because it's pretty low commitment. You know, they get to hang out and be in a safe environment that they feel comfortable in. At least that's what we're trying to really develop here. And what's cool about that is really the small group time, because we give about 20 to 25 minutes at the end of the night to kind of, you know, unpack some of the things that the kids learned either through the message or if we showed like a short video. And just really what's going on in the kids' lives, just to share with one another and share with the leaders. And we have some awesome volunteers that have just really ran with the small groups and really invested their time and their energy into the kids and making that a time that really everybody looks forward to. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good 2015. I think we have the Costa Rica mission trip. We hadn't done an international mission trip since Belize a couple of years ago. And so right now there's about 25 people who are interested in going to that. And we'll be doing that June 6th through the 13th. I think one of the big things for 2015 is just to try to get the kids more plugged in and involved in our church as a whole, so that youth doesn't seem like its own separate entity, that the kids and the community feels like, all right, you know, we're in this together. And so then also, again, just going with that funnel analogy, trying to funnel kids down into smaller groups, more intentional discipleship. And there's some really cool things can happen in those discipleship groups with the volunteers. And so that's another big push. And also just continuing to serve our community. One of the places that we're looking at is Women's Choice, and not just collecting an offering or doing anything like that every Wednesday, but really educating the kids about that organization, how they can personally get involved, not just financially, but, you know, even serving and hearing what that organization's about. Wednesday night is just not a night for just teenagers to be in here, but I'd welcome adults that want to be a part of this too, to come in and just see what's happening, even just to drop in one Wednesday and see what we do, I think is a good thing. Whatever, I'm open to anybody who's interested in helping with the youth to definitely, please let me know. I mean, we can find a spot for you. I just thank you for the support that you guys have been given, you know, financially, prayers, everything. You know, continue to pray for us, that kids just deepen their walk, and that kids get to know Christ for the first time, and that this is just a safe place that they can explore their faith and really grow and learn, and have a place that they can ask good questions too.
I started in mid-November of 2014. I want to stress that the older adult ministry is 50 plus. So that's always been a question on how old do you have to be involved in these programs. On Friday mornings, we still have our Spirit of Service programs, which are under the heading of SOS that most people know, but it stands for Spirit of Service. And we still have those programs, but we're having lots of other things also. SOS is the second Friday of each month. It starts at 10, and then we conclude with a lunch, and the lunch is $7. And another exciting thing that we've started is we have a bus available for those that live at the Florida Presbyterian Homes, the Presbyterian Apartments, or the Lake Morton Plaza. So all you have to do is call and let us know you need a ride. We're going to St. Augustine, our trip to St. Augustine in January. We'll be having at least one overnight trip a year, and then we'll have monthly day trips. Like we'll be going to Ybor City. In March, we're going to the Holy Land Experience. Then I'm trying to get together a time to go to different community things like Talbot House or Visti or things like that. We're actually have a game day on the third Saturday morning of the month that come and play cards or board games and have just some fellowship with other people. We went caroling to the Homebound, which was a wonderful thing. We actually joined with the youth and went and sang at the Florida Presbyterian homes, but then we went to individual homes, and I'm hoping that will be an annual event. And those things will be in the newsletter, e-news. Zach's putting things on Facebook, and then I am trying to get a little flyer to hand out, to be at the kiosk where like new members want to know what's going on around the church, and then if I can, like the trips to post in the bulletin boards down the main hall. Well, I just want to say I'm really excited about this ministry, and I'm really looking forward to 2015.
Well, I would say one of the more exciting things that happened this year was the God Story Project. We had envisioned and dreamed about this idea that we would read the story of the Bible in a year in a way to both encourage the habit of Bible reading in the people, our folks here at FPC, but also to get the whole story of the Bible by reading 7 chapters a week, and it was really neat to see how many people got involved, how committed folks were to the whole process, and then to hear the stories of light bulbs going off, people making connections with parts of the Bible that they had never read before, and then the stories of just life change of people whose faith grew and expanded because they finally got to understand parts of the Bible. It was an exciting year, in particular with that project and what we were able to do and see together.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say with the women's ministry, what was exciting to see happen this year was you had kind of sustained ministry with a few of the small groups. So you have the Care Share Grow group with Terry Frost. You have Bev Bigelow and Kim Mansky leading the women's small group, and then Jenny Ellis leading the Storyteller women's group. And that just was all year long on Wednesday nights, pockets of women growing, encouraging, studying together, and so forth. But then they had the women's ministries team got together and planned this big fall event, and they had over, I think it was 80 women who came out for a dinner fellowship event where they enjoyed a Greek dinner together, had a lot of fellowship around the tables, but then also got to hear an encouraging talk on the idea of simplicity and how to live a more simple life. So I think some exciting things happened with the women this year for sure. The men's groups that continue to meet all year long saw not only growth spiritually and in terms of Bible knowledge and community together, and the Wednesday night small group, men's group, and the Wednesday lunch group, and pockets of other men's groups that I know are meeting throughout the year. But then we also kind of had this unified event in the fall called the 3G Guys Retreat, which was our first annual men's retreat, but it was different in the sense that we expanded it and included the teenagers. And so we called it 3G, meaning 3 generations. And so we had over 50 men of all ages and then middle and high school guys come away for the weekend. And we had the Wednesday night, what we're calling family night, just continued to, in my opinion, continues to kind of gain momentum. Not only do you have great kids and youth ministries going on, but the family night classes and small groups, and I provide a lot of options on Wednesday nights, and we saw great attendance throughout the year in those. And not only did we do God Story class and some of our ongoing small groups, we also had financial peace. We had the Lila Maurer class on seeing the Bible through fine arts, and so those are just strong classes, and they continued both in the spring and the fall to be good opportunities for people just to connect and kind of grow their faith and their knowledge of God's Word. Yeah, well, in addition to the classes that are always kind of strong, stable classes, there are at least 3 new initiatives that I am very excited about. One is the Agape class, which had kind of let God's story become its primary content for a year, is now going to kind of revert back to the Agape class, but with Zach taking the primary lead on teaching that class. I think that's going to be an exciting class as they continue to study books of the Bible together. We're also going to have Parenting Young Children, which is a new class that David and Kim Bowers and the Children's Ministries team kind of envisioned this class for parents of younger kids So they're going to have a neat opportunity, and they're already off to a very strong start. And then on the 25th, we're starting an 8-week class for parents of teenagers. And so I think those are just going to be 3 great additions to the lineup of classes that we already have. Another exciting thing from this past year was the Activities Committee, which is led by Mike Houghton, planned 2 events: the Family Skate Party, which is always kind of a fun event at a local skate center, and the Fall Festival, which this year was on a perfect day, great weather, and we had over 300 people who came out for that after church event. We got to have food and fellowship and fun and play together, and just enjoy community and fellowship with each other. Is a great event. So I know the Activities Committee is kind of already thinking about this coming year and some of the things they're planning for us as a church to be together and to enjoy fellowship.
Well, so the St. Andrew Ministry has 3 essential goals. One is to do an annual seminar that brings attention and focus to some aspect of practical pastoral care. Another is to do regular ongoing training. And then lastly is to do some level of pastoral counseling. So during the week, there will be several times when I'm doing different kinds of teaching. So some of that is in premarital counseling. I probably see somewhere between 7 and 15 people in individual or family sessions during the week. I typically teach on Sunday mornings, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. And then, of course, there's that annual seminar. And in 2014, that seminar was devoted to parents, their children, and the internet. Basically, how much media capability and access do you give to children at what age? So we did that over a 3-week series. Well, I would say that the 2 things that are somewhat new for 2015 is one that we've just started a Parents for Young Children class. And my wife and I have decided to join that class as part of the teaching team and to be regularly involved. That there is one group that will definitely benefit, and so from time to time we'll do teaching series within that Sunday school class, whereas before this I had worked with the Agape class as a general Sunday school class. Each year, we have an annual seminar, and this year what I'm contemplating at this point is doing one on the scope of marriage in the church. I do a lot of premarital counseling, and I do a fair amount of marital counseling. What I'd like to do is to begin to help connect the generations. First Presbyterian is very committed to making pastoral care available to everyone. And so we have Stephen Ministry, where if all you need is a place where you can talk freely, a place where someone will listen to you without judging you, without giving you 99 impractical ideas that you don't want to try, then we have Stephen Ministries. If what you need is a professional level of counseling, then I'm here and I do that. If what you need is a pastor to sit down and hear what's going on with you and to pray with you and to bring spiritual resources to bear, all these things are available. So we have multiple levels of care. There really ought to be a place that fits what you need.
Well, I think first and foremost, I think each day when our children come to school, I hope that we're the mission of our church, that we're setting the foundation for making and maturing disciples of Christ, even for preschoolers and their families. Because a lot of times it's the first time, not only the children have been in this environment or at a church, but their parents too. so we're getting that opportunity each day to not only just love on them and be a place that's positive that they can come to, but we're also, there's opportunities for them, to come to our monthly chapel, for parents to hear those messages. And then also, in our classrooms each day, children are praying, and they're learning how to pray, and they're praying for their friends, and they're, even simple things like, when they pray at meal times, they're hearing Bible stories each day. So I think that's probably one of the most important things that we do. I think we've just been very blessed to continue to have our enrollment's been strong, and a lot of preschools, their enrollment hasn't been that good, but we've been able to kind of continue that because we've now been open for as long as we have. We're trying to continue to update and keep things new and fresh, and we've also we've implemented some new curriculum. So that was exciting for our teachers this year. They got to go and do some training for that. We've also hired a new music teacher, and she's had lots of great new ideas about things, and she's also implemented a new curriculum. So those were big things, I think, that kept the program just fresh and exciting. And we are very blessed that more than half of our staff has been at Little Shepherds for more than 10 years, and I think that's really something to be said about that we're able to maintain our teachers, and that they want to be here, and it's a good place. And we also this year, probably more than ever, did hire some new staff, and they've just been wonderful additions. I mean, we're very blessed. I don't know that people always know so much about our program or what we're doing every day, so I would love for people to come and see what we do just anytime. I know sometimes on Sundays people might walk through and see our rooms and things, but just even during the week, anytime, we would love for them to stop in and just look around and see what we're doing. Definitely. We'd love to show them, I guess, the great things that are going on in Little Shepherds.
Thanks, Carrie.
When I think back to 2014, there are a couple of areas that really stand out to me as positive, especially in terms of outreach. I'm a tech guy, and so I've always felt the call to spread the gospel through non-traditional outlets, and FPC has really taken great strides in that area this year, especially with social media. We saw our influence in places like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter almost double. And so every week we have hundreds and sometimes even thousands of people engaging in what God is doing here at FPC through these non-traditional outlets. We also saw people use the FPC mobile app on their Android and iPhone devices in a real significant way. They were able to engage with the Sunday sermons, the church calendar. People kept up with the God Story Project all through the convenience of their cell phones and their tablets, and that's really exciting to me. But we didn't just stay in those areas. We also expanded our reach in more traditional modes of outreach. Regularly, FPC is a presence at the Downtown Lakeland Partnership's First Fridays. And for those that don't know, First Friday is an event that happens on the first Friday of every month, where businesses and organizations take over the streets of downtown surrounding Munn Park and just tell people about what's going on in their organization. And we at FPC are a part of that most First Fridays. We expanded our reach and our presence there by adding a tent, a nice table, a television with pictures of some of our ministries in action. We give away literature, we meet folks and build relationships with them, and pop popcorn and give it away for free. We also this year added a balloon artist through the Twisted Arts company, and that's been huge in attracting children to our booth at First Friday and giving us an opportunity to meet with their parents. Kind of along with that, reaching out to children and families has been a real significant focus for us this year, especially through Little Shepherds. I'm the pastoral kind of liaison with Little Shepherds, which is a great program, and it's been a real blessing for me to be a part of what goes on with chapel times each month and through some of the special programs like the Christmas programs and Thanksgiving programs, because more than 40 of our families that are a part of Little Shepherds, they claim no church affiliation. And so we really felt the call to go into this field as a mission field. And so one of the things that we did this year was we started a new program called Mommy Time, which my wife Julie has been heading up, and it's really cool to see what they're doing on a week in, week out basis. On Mondays at 9:15, she gathers between 15 and 30 mommies to talk about the Bible and how the Bible makes an impact on them as individuals, as mothers, as spouses. They take home a little craft project that they can do with their children that focuses on some sort of a Bible story or a Bible message, and it begins to open up the conversation about faith, sometimes in homes where that conversation is not regularly had. And so this Mommy Time group is having a huge impact on the overall program at Little Shepherds, and it's been pretty cool to see what God's done through that. We also made a real effort to reach out to our neighborhood this year through a program I'm calling the Good Neighbor Initiative, where we, at the holiday season, packed up more than 500 bags and took 300 of them to our local neighborhood. Some of our small groups, including the men's Wednesday night group, one of the women's Wednesday night groups, our Mommy Time group, the youth and the children, all got together to take these bags to our neighbors. And we've got a tremendous response back from folks that they really enjoyed that. They really appreciated those gifts. And so we were just trying to be a light and a witness to our neighbors in a hospitable sort of a way. I think it would be good for me to talk a little bit about missions, because Nancy Bertram, our missions coordinator, is actually in Africa right now. And so just to kind of give you a thumbnail sketch of what God did through missions in 2014, I think would be a good idea. We have a regular trip that goes to Merida, Mexico, and they had a tremendous time this fall going and continuing the construction projects and building the relationships that our church has established down there. We continue to partner with groups like CPI Haiti and sent trips down to Haiti this year through CPI with Jenny and Kenny Ellis, and they always make a huge impact, also partnering with other churches as well. A new initiative that started on more of a local missions front was a group called Laundry Love. We had some lay folks that decided that saw this program that's actually a national program and decided to adopt that program for our church. And they adopted one laundromat where they go once a month, and once a month they do the laundry. They pay for the laundry for all the participants that are there. And they've done this about 3 or 4 times now, and they begin to see the same people over and over again. And that's a good thing, because they begin to build relationships with them and share Jesus with them in a tangible, hands-on sort of way. We also had a tremendous response from our congregation during our holiday season of service. A lot of our local mission projects happen between the beginning of November through the end of the year, and so this year we've kind of put them all under one banner called Season of Service, and everything from Rudolph Roundup to the Salvation Army Bell Ringers to our work with the Parker Street Project. All of those projects fell under the heading of the Season of Service, and more people were able to engage with what God was doing there in a spirit of camaraderie and unity. And that included our Wabash turkey distribution, which is a huge blessing for our church, because we partner with the church Zion Hope Baptist Church in the Wabash community and give away turkeys. And this is a great partnership, not only with that church, but with Lighthouse Ministries and our own congregation. So there's a lot of mutual encouragement that goes on there, and it was an amazing afternoon this past fall. And we're looking to do a lot of these same sorts of projects this coming year, and we really encourage people to take an opportunity to get involved in some way, just to give a little time to organizations like Laundry Love, or to ministries like Laundry Love, or during our season of service, or our June food drive with our Vacation Bible Schoolers. Get involved with our local Good Neighbor Initiative, and invite your friends and your neighbors and your associates to come to church with you, because we can do all the advertising in the world, but it's not nearly as impactful as when one person says to another person, you want to come to church with me.
2014 was an exciting year in our finance ministry. Our budgeted 2014 deficit was $110,000. Well, long story short, you gave more and less was spent. So we received our highest level of contributions and gifts from our congregation, totaling $2.2 million. Wow. And less was spent. We spent $2.135 million, meaning we were in a positive situation at the end of the year of $65,000, which is a true blessing, and God is working through every step of that. We have an amazing facility here, and we are blessed with this beautiful building and the property. Some exciting property improvements that happened in 2014 was more lighting. So come around at night, and if you enter or exit the north or the south entrances, you will see that it is brighter. So we did that, one, to improve safety, because it is quite dark out there. And you'll see that we have enhanced lighting in our parking lots and in the back behind the Boy Scout building. Another exciting project that was funded in 2014, but we'll do it in first quarter of 2015, is our door project. We're going to be replacing 10 doors. Two doors, two double sets of doors at the Little Shepherds Preschool and the Little Education Wing, also known as Esther Kelly Wing. And they will be see-through doors. So we'll become a more welcoming church, a more welcoming environment, and people will also know where they're at by getting a gauge of where the lake is. We'll also be replacing the two double doors in the chapel. One, they need to be replaced, and two, that will allow ushers and people knowing when they can come in and when they can leave, and just some other two doors at the back end of the chapel they just need replacing. Another exciting thing that we'll be doing to further that safety and welcoming of First Presbyterian Church is we'll be adding 4 lamp posts along the front of the church. So if you've been here at night, it's a little bit dark there, and we just want to improve the lighting and the safety and the visual aspects of the front of our church as well. But our goal is to bring to this congregation a balanced budget for 2015. Our stewardship campaign ended up strongly. We received over $1.7 million worth of commitments, which is over $100,000 more than what we received last year. So good things are going to continue to happen in 2015, and we're solid financially. I'll also share with you that we have built up over the past 5 to 10 years reserves, operating and property reserves, which now total a little over $600,000. So we're financially very strong. We started in 2013. We established the FPC Forever Endowment Fund. Now, the goal of this endowment is to ensure that FPC is here for decades to come, proclaiming Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, so that our mission and ministries will be here beyond our lifetime. So right now we have approximately $2 million in that endowment. Our goal is to build it to $50 million so that in the years to come, that will cover the expenses of the church, and any gifts that you bring or future members bring to the church will go to missions and ministries of the church.
We are looking forward to another great year at First Presbyterian Church, FPC, as we celebrate 130 years of being a light for Jesus Christ in this community. Let's ask ourselves, how can I be more a part of what God is doing here?